The old Ford rattled, suspension screaming, sirens wailed behind, each note a hammer blow to his nerves. Dust billowed, obscuring the road ahead. He gripped the wheel, knuckles white, eyes darting to the rearview mirror. Then the diner appeared, a beacon at the end of the world. Or maybe the end of the road, because right beyond it, the earth simply vanished. A sheer drop, lost in the swirling mist below. He slammed the brakes, tires protesting. The diner door opened, a figure silhouetted against the warm light within. No time. He threw the car into park and ran, the ground falling away behind him. He didn't look back. He could hear shouts, the screech of tires, but his focus narrowed to the maze of alleys opening before him like escape routes in a nightmare. The city awaited. He didn't know this city, yet it felt strangely familiar. Buildings rose, a jumble of brick and steel and glass draped in neon and shadow. The air thrummed with a hidden energy, a discordant symphony of city sounds. Footsteps echoed behind him. He had to vanish, become part of the urban tapestry. He ducked into an alley, the stench of refuse assaulting his nostrils. A rat scurried past, its eyes gleaming with an unsettling intelligence. The sound of pursuit faded, replaced by the city's muffled roar. He was lost, alone and utterly adrift. The alley twisted and turned, a labyrinth of brick and shadow. Graffiti-covered walls closed in, a riot of color and cryptic messages. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of exotic spices and something else, something wild and untamed. He could hear the flutter of wings, the rustle of feathers. His heart hammered against his ribs. He was prey here, hunted. He emerged onto a narrow street, the buildings leaning precariously towards each other as if trying to touch. The sky above was a sliver of bruised purple. A single street lamp cast an anemic glow, illuminating the cobblestones beneath his feet. He had to get his bearings, find a way out of this concrete jungle. As he walked, he noticed something peculiar. The buildings were adorned with intricate carvings, strange symbols and faces that seemed to watch him with silent disapproval. Gargoyles perched on rooftops, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. The city was alive, watching his every move. He turned a corner and found himself facing a small park, an oasis of green amidst the concrete. But even here, the strangeness persisted. The trees were gnarled and twisted, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, and perched on a bench, as if waiting for him, was an old woman. She sat very still, a shawl pulled tight against the evening chill. Her face was a roadmap of wrinkles, her eyes like chips of blue ice. She watched him approach with an unnerving intensity. He hesitated, unsure whether to speak or slip away unnoticed. "Lost, are you?" she rasped, her voice like dry leaves rustling in the wind. He nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. "This city," she continued, her gaze fixed on some distant point beyond him, "it plays tricks on the mind. Beware the birds, young man, they're not what they seem." He frowned, confused. Birds? What did birds have to do with anything? Before he could ask, she rose to her feet, her eyes boring into his. "They'll steal your memories," she whispered, her breath hot on his cheek. "They'll steal your very soul." And with that, she turned and shuffled away, disappearing into the shadows like a phantom. He stood there for a moment, heart pounding, unsure what to make of the encounter. He'd stumbled into a nightmare, he was sure of